Hi, folks. Today I thought we'd talk a little bit about post-race recovery, and I'll do that in two sections, if you will. One about post-race recovery, really right after your race, and then how long does it take to recover in the following week or weeks after your race. So first of all, you've just got done racing, so immediately after your race, and I do immediately in quotation marks, I'm not saying that you cross the finish line, you've got to start something right away, but ideally within, the next 4 or 5 minutes, what you want to do is you want to start a very, very easy cool down jog. Now, usually people say, I'm toast, I can't do anymore, you want me to run again? Obviously, I do, otherwise I wouldn't say that. Now, people think that they're doing that because they want to use up the lactic acid so that they don't have burning muscles. That's actually a fallacy. You don't have lactic acid that sits in your muscles and causes you to burn the next day. But doing that cool down jog is going to help you feel better in your recovery. The reason being, imagine if you have a glass cooking dish and it's in the oven or the microwave and you're cooking something there and you get the hot pads out and you take it out and you scoop the food out and you want to get it to soak. So you put it in the sink and you run water and you hear crack and the bowl breaks. Well, the reason that glass broke is because it cooled down too quickly. Same principle with your body, although you don't need to worry about cracking your body. When you are racing, you raise your heartbeat, you raise your core body temperature, and we don't want those to drop too fast. We want to give them a nice, easy down. That's why you'll see people that say a track meet do an event and then they put on the track suit again. They're trying to kind of manage that cool down. So how much? For a 5K, I'm generally going to do 2 to 3 very, very easy miles. Half, 1 to 3, full, probably 0. Now, I'll tell you, it would be good if you could do a little cool down after a marathon, but the reason I said 0 is most people truly are toast at the end of the marathon. They don't really have anything left, and going out and jogging something isn't something that they can easily do. Plus, typically in a marathon, you're not going to get your heart rate or your body temperature as high as you will the other ones. The reason, too, that I had the 5K more miles than, say, the half marathon, 5K, I'm getting my heart rate up higher. I'm probably getting my body temperature up a little bit higher because of the speed of that event versus the half marathon. So I can do a little bit more to make sure that I cool down. And then, of course, in addition to a cool down, you want to make sure you do some stretching, making sure you're refueling, not just that day, but over the next several days, and also making sure that you're staying hydrated. So fueling and hydration is important all the time, in particular after the race. Now, let's talk about what does recovery look like in the next week or weeks. And I will tell you that varies wildly from person to person. Everybody is very different. And the fact is, every race is different, especially the marathon. It's hard to really know what you need to do until the marathon comes up. And when all is said and done, the overriding thing is to listen to your body. But when I say it varies wildly, I've got a friend who, it was like 3 years ago, I think he ran New York. He did a PR in New York. 6 days later, he ran a 10K and he PR'd that. I think he was 58 years old at the time. Now, generally speaking, you ought not to be able to do that at 58, but he did. In fact, this year, he ran New York again, got another PR in New York in the marathon, did that same 10K, didn't set a PR, but he won his age group in that. I would tell you, that wouldn't happen for me. I would not be able to go out and do a race in my history. That's just not going to happen. Maybe it can for you. I know people that are running the day after a marathon. I know people that aren't going to run for 2, maybe 3 weeks after a marathon. It's all individual and kind of listening to your body. A general rule of thumb is that you need 1 day of recovery per mile race. Now, that's a really big general rule of thumb. That would say for a 5K, you need 3 days. For a marathon, it might be 26 days. And recovery does not mean that you're not doing any running. It just means you're not doing any stressful running, heading out to the track or something like that. You can absolutely run. In fact, I'm going to tell you that you want to do some running, but I'll get to that in a moment. The other thing besides the 1 day per mile is, in general, higher volume equals faster recovery. And what I mean by that is, if you trained for a half marathon on an average of 30 miles per week versus somebody who trained for a half marathon on, say, 50 miles per week, generally speaking, the person doing 50 is going to recover more quickly. Why? Because a half marathon is a smaller percentage of the total mileage that you're doing. So your volume will matter a little bit with what you're doing as well. As I mentioned before, you do want to be doing something. Blood flow and mobility is critical. So let's say you've run a marathon and you're one of these people that say, I can't run for the next 10 days, 2 weeks, whatever it is. That's fine because it's after the marathon. But you should do something. Get out and take a brisk walk, ride your bike, do something. The idea is you want to promote blood flow and mobility to the muscles. The only time I'd say you don't want to do that is if you're having pain. Now, I'm not talking about some muscle soreness that you're just going to walk through the muscle soreness, but let's say you go out and you're limping. Okay, you probably shouldn't be doing whatever it was that was causing you to limp because we don't want that. But ideally, you're going to go out and you're going to be able to do a little bit of something. Another thing I do with a marathon in particular is, generally speaking, I'm going to try and avoid any speed for 2 weeks. As I said, some people can't even run in those 2 weeks, but other people get back to running right away. And if I'm coaching somebody and they're the people who get back to running right away, I'm generally not going to give them any speed for a couple of weeks. I might throw some tempo stuff in later. That varies by the person. But overall, recovery is really, really important. And when in doubt, then do less.